Hello everybody, it's your host Alan, and today I'll be talking to you guys about prions. Now you might ask me, hey Alan, what are prions? And I'll tell you, prions are proteinous infectious particles, which are not viruses. Many people get it confused with viruses because they are particles, and viruses are kind of like particles, but which they are actually DNA particles. But these ones are just particles. They don't have no cellular nothing. They just affect you and cause your proteins to malfunction. So they are abnormal form of a cellular protein. So and here's actually what it looked like in drawing, and I will get into it. So prions, they are suspectable causative agents of transmissible spongiform encephalopathies. Now, you might say, hey, Alan, what is all this long transmissible spongiform encephalopathies? What is this TSE? And I'll tell you, this is the causative agent of most neurological problems. And now you might start to get uh, a perception, like an image of what I'm talking about. But hey, I'll get into it. Now, this is how this attacks. All right, so the protein tangles in your brain. All right, so it opens spaces and and form in the brain, which is abnormal, and then you start to get neurological damage, and then after some few years, you die. So this is a big issue. Most of the times is unnoticeable until some of the signs start to pop up. Now, these transmissible spongiform encephalopathies take years to develop, but progress rapidly once they begin. And that, so what am I saying here is like, so you start to see the signs. I mean, like, after you start seeing the signs, that means it's already there because it's really hard to diagnose this. So when the signs are already there, that means there's no hope. I mean, the hope is like really less. There's less hope. So some of the signs are altered behavior, dementia, memory loss, delirium, impaired senses, uncontrollable muscle contractions. So I am not saying if you see any signs, you should just freak out and think you have some kind of prion infection. I'm just saying, like, these signs are like some of the signs and symptoms which are associated to this. And these signs and symptoms are also associated with a whole bunch of other problems. So it's always best to consult your doctors if you feel like something's wrong. So the presence of prions seems to be to cause many proteins to become abnormal and accumulate in cells. So if you know how proteins are made, proteins are actually uh, made like the brain cells. So what am I saying here? So these proteins, their presence actually cause their neighboring proteins to become abnormal. It's like kind of like something infectious. All right. Scientists are not clear how brain cells are damaged by these altered proteins, but exact mechanism of transmission is unknown, possible from direct contact with infected tissue to contaminated surgical instruments, eating infected food, meat in particular. Now, here are some examples of transmissible spongiform encephalopathies. You might have heard about this because there was an outbreak about a few years ago, which is the Creutzfeld-Jakob disease. Uh, this is a human disease. Some cases are inherited, and other cases are due to contact with contaminated blood/tissue. And then there's a virulent Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, occurs in younger people. Now, there's a Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, and then there's a virulent, which is which occurs in younger people population, and then there's a scrapie in sheep. And now, mad cow disease. I bet a whole lot of people heard about it because it was on the news everywhere. I think it was a few years ago. I think they had one case of somebody. I'm not too sure, but it was a few years ago. It was on the news and everything. And mad cow disease. Uh, as you already know, mad cow disease. I think when it came out back then, there was like people saying it's because they feed cows with other cows and all that, so the cows kind of like develop these, and then when humans eat a cow, it kind of like transmits to humans. But yeah, so mad cow disease may be result of cows eating ground animals, meals containing sheep head. Now, the variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is in humans, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease from consuming meat contaminated with mad cow disease, which is really, really rare. One case per 10 billion. So, this is not something this is not a case you hear every day because it's like really, really rare. They haven't really, found a whole lot of people contaminated with this. That's why it is still under research.